My name is J.R. Briscoe. I am the assistant professor of communication here at UPike. I'm married, father of three kids, Eleanor, Lincoln, and Drake. Haven't been here too long, just a little over a year so far.
So I suspect as a kid that you didn't want to be a professor of communication.
No, I did not.
So as a kid, what did you want to do?
I did not. I thought being a professor was not something that was even possible for me. I wanted to actually be a fighter pilot. That was my dream growing up. I was always fascinated with the sky, aviation. Even today I can still spout off names of planes and speeds and things like that. But that dream got shattered when God made me too tall. I guess there's a height restriction for fighter pilots, and so that didn't happen. And I wanted to be, so my next alternative was, well, I could be a commercial airline pilot. But I hadn't been married very long when I pitched the idea to my wife that I wanted to go back to school, and she had put some things in perspective about how pilots aren't at home very much and things like that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to be growing up, but it definitely didn't turn out that way.
So obviously a dream job would be maybe a fighter pilot, but now as you are adult dad JR, is there a dream job out there for you now?
I think I'm doing it, to be honest. When I was pursuing my undergraduate degree, my mom actually chose my major for me. That's not an uncommon thing. I believe. I'm not sure or not. I don't know how hands-on parents are these days with that. But for me, my mom and I, we went through the catalog, and she said communication, and she thought I could be a news journalist, sit behind the desk. And contrary to what she believes, and probably even popular belief, I'm actually pretty shy personally, and so I didn't want to do that. But I did like the idea of communication and journalism, so I decided I would be the reporter instead. And so I pursued that career a little bit. Went to college, and I was pursuing that idea. And this was during the time when the internet was taking over journalism, and I was in school, and there were professors and advisors who were saying, we don't know what's going to happen with journalism jobs. They aren't there. I mean, as we transition, we don't know what's going to be done with advertising. So journalism is actually something that might become archaic. And I was like, wonderful. So I'm getting a degree in something that I may not have a job in, right? And I sat around trying to decide what I wanted to do, and I always excelled in my major. I am one of the rare students that never switched their major. It was communication from day one all the way through graduation and beyond with graduate school. And I was in I had this favorite professor. I was in her class, and I'm thinking about it. Did a lot of introspection and praying, and I just got this impression. I was looking at her. Her name was Andrea Hansen, one of my mentors and a dear friend of mine. I just said, I looked at her. What she does, I think she's really cool. She's really good at what she does. And then just the idea, the prompting of, well, why can't you do that? Maybe you can do that. And so I never considered it until that moment, and that led me down a path where I started having conversations with different professors, realized that I had to go to graduate school, the realization that it involves research, which I'm not the best at, I'll openly admit. But I wanted to teach. I felt like teaching was my calling in that moment. And I had almost no experience doing so. I had some instances where, I taught in Boy Scouts or maybe at church, but teaching in a classroom was new to me. And so I said, I prayed. I asked, if this is what I'm supposed to do, can we open some doors for me? Let me know. Otherwise, if I'm not and a door's shut, then I'll just find something else to do. And one door after the other would open. I don't consider myself like a professor smart, espousing theories and things like that. But my GRE score came in, and I did well with it. My my applications were considered, and I was interviewed, and I was starting to go up to places where, you know, I never thought were possible for me. And so that's kind of what led me to where I am today. It was, you know, just considering, just being open to maybe, you know, this is something that would interest me. That growing up, I never thought I would be smart enough to be a professor, but I realized it's not about that. It's about, do I have the will to try, and the drive to do so.
So would you say there was one thing in your life that spurred you towards that path? I mean, you had this moment with the professor. Was there anything else in life that really spurred you towards that?
So I've always, the discipline of communication has been something that I've always been fascinated, and I appreciate, because it connects everything. I mean, you know, the thoughts you have, the relationships you form, even the way you think is derived out of language, which is all rooted in communication. And I really enjoyed my discipline. I mean, just, you know, like advertising and art, and you know, they're like, it's almost, it's not an exact science, but it's something that we continue to perfect and improve upon it. So for me, I just enjoyed what I did. I enjoyed the classes. I realized, you know, it was my way to kind of test the world. So my communication courses, it made me a better listener. It made me evaluate why I see the world the way I do and how I can change that. It made me evaluate what others think of me, and what image or I'm portraying. It just really kind of set myself in this under a microscope, and I thought, wow, this is something that, you know, I think I could not only benefit from, but continue to grow upon, continue to move towards, and, you know, maybe share with other people if they're interested.
So in a sentence then, today, define your call.
So my calling in life, people say I'm prone to storytelling, but I grew, when I went through graduate school, I had this professor, and she would always say, I'm a researcher first, and an educator or professor second. And that was just like, I just did not like that, you know, like, so what am I doing here? So you can, you know, go do your methodologies and research, and now I'm just this afterthought. And for me, it's about teaching. It's about leaving the world a better place. It's about the fact that, you know, I grew up, and, you know, I made mistakes in communicating, seeing the world in certain ways, or I learned to, you know, through positive and negative, you know, outcomes, what works and what didn't. And I'm all about, like, empowering the next generation. It's not about, like, me leaving a mark as much as it's like, you know, it wasn't easy for me. Maybe I can help you out so it'll be easier for you, so you can be better prepared than I was, you know, at approaching the world, whether it's through work or relationships, whether that's with your family, or if you choose to get married, or anything romantic, or friends, or anything like that. So how I view my role, it's just all about empowering and showing students and others that there's different ways of thinking, and the way we communicate, and the way we see the world.
So would you say that today your job aligns with this call?
Definitely. UPike has been it's been a huge blessing for me, honestly. I've been in jobs, and I worked at a previous institution at 20,000+ students. I was just another, you know, I like to call it, I'm another cog in the wheel of the machine that exists. You know, I couldn't really have an impact. And it's not like this was for me as much as I felt that I wanted to make a difference, and I wasn't seeing that. You know, I would just have students come in, take my course, and leave, and it was a stepping stone for them. UPike has really given me the opportunity to not only grow as a teacher, but also allowed me to work with the students more personally, assist them, tailor the education to whatever concerns or needs, whether it's both, you know, contemporary politics, or what's going on in the world today, or what they have going on for them. So for me, I'm very happy. I'm very thrilled to be here. UPike has given me the opportunity to do what I've always dreamed of doing.
So you already mentioned a professor that was very influential to
Yes.
you, right? But who else was most influential when it comes to aligning this call in your life?
Oh, I had various heroes, both fictitious and real. Uh, but personally, there's always people that are there to support, and those are the real heroes that I think you can look at. Like, I had professors who, Andrea Hansen during my undergraduate, she was very involved with me, involved with my family. I remember one time she babysat for, she wanted to watch my kids. She let me bring my daughter to class once so she could meet her the first time, when she was a newborn, and she held her and was like, this is like what life's all about. It was just I saw that investment. That's what I wanted in life. Kevin Stein, who was my master's advisor, he knew what I wanted to do, and he really believed in me, and so he would took me under his wing and really, he motivated me, pushed me forward, and things like that. And then there's people like my family. My grandmother, Dixie, she was always supportive of anything I ever wanted to do, and to this day, we joke and we laugh. We have a very personal relationship where she told me she never thought I would be a professor. Not like it was a demeaning thing, but that's not what we thought was in the cards for JR. We thought there were other things in life, but when I told her, that day, I wanted to go, she said, let's do it. And same as my wife, Sarah. I was very scared on saying, hey, think about extending my schooling another 5 or 6 years in graduate school, and I want to be a professor. And I didn't think she would say anything negative, you can't do that, but she was just like, if that's what you want to do, let's pursue that. And so these people all in my life, and it's all about the relationships and the connections that you make is what really, it's going to motivate you. It's going to keep you focused and dedicated, and that's important to find, is others who are rooting for you, who are essentially your personal fan base.
So if a student was watching this interview and said, man, I actually want to be a professor of communication, what did you do to align yourself for this career path?
So there's several things that are in play for sure. One of them is, as I said, if you're going to go to school, it's going to be, it's hard work. Graduate school is next level. There's a lot of writing. It's very intensive, and it can be competitive as well. It's not just you going to school in a classroom with others. You're going to the same classes with the same people over and over and over, and we're all vying for similar jobs. In the end, my advice would be, I would talk first with professors you align with people that you really feel that you love to emulate, or you think that are exemplars in their fields. And that's the thing, I didn't just talk to communication professors, I talked to, professors in other disciplines as well, people who I felt close connections with. I remember, I can't think of his first name, but Dr. Skivner, biology. I goofed off in his class, and he let me, and we were such good friends, and I remember hugging him on the last day of finals. But anyways, it's just a dumb story, but it just goes to show there are people that care, and they are willing to help and assist. And so I had frank conversations that were real. I asked real questions that were not just what schools, as much as what do you think I need to do next. So if a student wants to become a professor, I definitely tell them you need to forge those relationships, because those are the individuals who are going to help propel you forward. They're the ones that'll be your guide. They're also going to be the ones that catch you when you feel like you're going to fail or you're not going anywhere. The next thing I would advise is just to be open to change. So you might think, and you might, you have blinders on, this is what it's going to look like, and that's not necessarily the case. I mean, there's the romanticized view of what you think your career is, and then there's the actual what it's going to look like. And, that's going to be both positive and negative. It's not an easy career per se, in the sense that you will have, like I said, there's competitiveness, but that's that way in every job. But it's going to require work, and it's going to require determination. And so if you're willing to sacrifice and work hard, you're going to make it. All the students who've come to me during my career as a graduate student, when I was teaching, and since being a professor the last couple of years, I told me, I want to go to grad school. What do I need to do? And I've sat and I've had similar conversations, and each one has gone into grad school. I have not had a student drop out. I have not had a student who has quit, and I'm not saying that's because of me, but I base that on personal drive and whether you desire to see it through or not. And so today I have students, and they're not just communication. Probably the majority of them are in other disciplines. I have one that's in engineering, one that's going to he's starting law school this fall. I have another who's now a psychiatrist. But they all were in one of my classes at one point. They all felt like, hey, I want to get some advice. And so that's what I would recommend. Talk, be open, and just be prepared to work.
So I'm assuming that from the day that you and your mom chose communications in the course catalog to today,
yes,
it probably hasn't been just smooth sailing.
No.
You've had life obstacles and challenges. How have you navigated those?
Oh my gosh. There's so many stories. I talked about earlier how I pray to God, just like I'm supposed to do is have a door open. Like whatever the doors that I need to open, if they need to be, if it's your way, let's do it. It's all on you. Like, let me know. I'll work hard, but if you meant for me to do it, then help me find that way. The first thing was taking the GRE. I am horrible at test taking. I did not do well in the ACT. Anytime there's a test in front of me, I do not do well. I'm great at writing. I'm great at application and reflection, which is how I teach. But test taking, no. And the GRE, I ended up, I took it once, just as I took a class at the prep course, and they have you take it once, and I had a miserable score. But I knew the school I wanted to go into, what score they were looking for, and so I just worked hard, and then when I actually went and took it, I not only got the score, I exceeded it by quite a bit, and that's one of those moments where it's like live or die type thing. If you don't get the score, then you're not going in, and because I had gotten an acceptance letter saying it's conditional upon the GRE, and so man, it was an hour drive to the nearest testing center. I was fist pumping the whole way back. I was so excited and happy because that was one door that opened. But there are pitfalls and roadblocks. I went to a conference as a master's student. I was a second year master's student, and there was a first year PhD student who had previously been in the same master's program. And my advisor asked, "Have you cried yet?" And it's like, "What are you talking about?" And I realized that, I remember I failed an exam during my master's class, and I thought this was it. And I had studied my tail end off, and it was a real sobering moment for me. I didn't know whether or not the future was going to pan out, but I pulled out of that class with an 89%. I don't know how I did so well, but I did, because I just buckled down even more. I figured if this didn't work, then I got to keep going. But during my PhD, when I come back to that crying, I had a few moments. I still remember sitting at, it was a 4 or 5 story building, and I went all the way up to the top of the stairs, and I just felt so inadequate because people are going to be smarter than you. They're going to have better backgrounds, or they went to better schools, or they're going to have better connections, and I felt very inadequate, and I sat down and I cried for probably 10 minutes before class. And it sounds so pathetic, but it was that moment where I just felt like I needed this. I needed to feel that this struggle, and from there, I stopped crying, and I was like, the only way I can move is forward. I can give it my best, and if it doesn't work, and then I can say at least I tried. But you're going to run into a lot of that in life, especially in college and in your career. I mean, I can't tell you how many applications I filled out after graduate school, or even applications to graduate school. That was always fun. You spend all this money and you get all these no's, and it's like that doesn't feel so good. But someone will always take a chance on you, or it's going to work out as long as you are working hard. And so yeah, there are definitely the ups and downs. You're going to have that in any career, in any major that you go to.
So most people might be very jealous when they watch this and say, man, never changed his major, he's a successful dad, professor, wow. Some people are going to come in your office and they are none of those things, and they are kind of a hot mess express. So a student comes in and says, I have no idea what I should do with my life. What advice do you have for them?
I ask them, what are their dreams or what are they passionate about? That's really where it starts for me. And you'd be surprised, probably the most common answer is, I don't know. I don't know. And so so that first meeting where they come and they meet with me is almost like a homework assignment where I tell them, I want you to go home and just think about it. Just observe throughout the day. That's what I really teach about my classes we have these textbooks, but a big portion of this is walking around and looking and observing and seeing what exists out there. And so I'll tell my students, I'll tell them, hey, go, as you're walking throughout the day, look at, see what people are doing for their careers, or, think of people that you think have awesome jobs or who inspire you. Because you never know what's going to really point you in the right direction. I've had students who talk to me who tell me they're torn between two things, and I said, well, what did you originally want to do? And they would tell me, and I said, well, then that's your answer. I mean, if that was the dream, and yeah, this might be fun over here, this major or minor or cluster or whatever you wanted to call it, in school, then you still pursue your dream, unless you felt like that's not your dream anymore. And then pursue the alternative. It really, again, I can't say enough, it comes down to what you're passionate about. And there will be opportunities. If you want to be a sports journalist, you may not be ESPN straight out of college, but you will have opportunities in college to cover sports. You will have an internship that will put you on the right path to do so. And then you never know. You'll make connections that will then get you that first job. Whether you may not be a sports journalist at first, you may write a different beat. For example, like be the obituary or be the local news. But at some point, you will get the opportunity, and that's when you strike while the iron's hot, and you will get the chance to live your dream. I tell my students, don't dismiss anything. Also. You never know what opportunities are gonna give you. You never know what chances you will have. So, but it's difficult in a world of choices, especially when you have multiple competing offers. I have students who are like, I have 3 internships. Which one do I choose? And again, it really comes back to, well, what do you think is the end goal in life? And it's hard to weigh. Some will say like, well, this one will pay me for my internship. Some will say, well, this one will get me the connections, and some will say, well, this will actually get me the experience. And so that's where you really got to evaluate what are you looking for and what you're trying to do. And I continue to try to have conversations with them. Whatever you're interested in, we have students here who love to be in theater classes, and I be in theater, but theater does not have a major, so let's major in something that will help support that theatrical talent that you have. If you're unsure, we'll try it. And if you didn't like it, oh well, we did one class and we move forward. But you can't just go to college and not have a plan. You've got to actually think of what I want to do in life. And so for a lot of freshmen, it's not going to happen straight out of high school. Some do. I remember I sat at the previous institution, they were all pre-law, pre-med, or they all knew what they wanted to do. Mom and dad really helped them out. And here it's a little more, I don't know, but I know I need to be here, and that's what we're here to help.